She didn't cry when I found out. She didn't explain herself either. She just stood there, still quiet, like guilt had pinned her to the floor. Her lips didn't tremble. Her hands didn't fidget. She had already slept with him, lied about it, hid it from me. And then she looked me straight in the eye and said, "It didn't mean anything." That was the moment I understood something terrifying. If something so meaningless could destroy everything we had. Maybe I never meant anything to her either. Her name was Claire. We had been together for 4 years. Not some teenage fling. Not a fleeting summer romance. This was real. We shared groceries on quiet Sundays. Held hands at family funerals. Made plans for the future. The kind that weren't just whispered in the dark but built into everyday routines. But looking back, I can't even tell you exactly when it started to crumble. That's the thing about betrayal. It doesn't always crash in like a thunderstorm. Sometimes it slips in like fog. Quiet, weightless, until you realize you're completely surrounded, already lost. She started texting late into the night. Said it was work. Stopped kissing me when she got home. Said she was tired. Started dressing differently. Smiling more at her phone than at me. And every time I asked, she said the same thing. "You're imagining it." God, I wanted to believe her. I needed to. Because believing her meant I didn't have to start over. It meant I wasn't being made into a fool. But I wasn't imagining anything. The truth always finds its way through the cracks. I found out on a random Tuesday. She had left her phone on the kitchen counter, unlocked. I wasn't snooping. I wasn't hunting for proof. I just picked it up to set her alarm for the next morning. That's when I saw it. A thread of messages that hit harder than any fist ever could. "Last night was perfect. I can't stop thinking about you. I wish I could fall asleep in your arms again." He called her baby. She called him mine. I didn't smash her phone. I didn't yell. I didn't wake her up to unleash my rage. I just sat there, staring at the screen, reading words written in a language I never wanted to understand. Then I stood up, got dressed, packed a small bag, and I walked out. No note, no dramatic speech, no confrontation, just silence. She had made her choice. And that night I made mine. I spent the first night at my friend Marcus's place. He didn't say much, just handed me a beer and nodded when I told him everything. Sometimes that's all you need. But when the lights went out and it was just me and the dark, I broke down. Not because I missed her, but because I didn't recognize myself anymore. I had become tired, paranoid. I felt humiliated. Like I wasn't enough. Like I was the punchline to some cruel joke I never saw coming. People say betrayal makes you bitter. For me, it didn't make me angry. Just made me numb. I went back to work. Smiled when I had to. But inside I was empty. Like a house that had been gutted by fire but still looked fine from the street. Months later I tried dating again. Met some kind women with kind hearts. But every time someone got close I flinched. Because once trust is shattered, it doesn't grow back. Heals like a scar. And scars don't forget. Then, almost exactly a year later, he showed up. I had just gotten home from a long shift. Dust on my jeans, paint on my shirt. Unlocking my door when I heard a car pull up behind me. Turned. It was Claire. The woman who'd broken me. The woman I once would have taken a bullet for. She stepped out slowly. Her hair was longer, her face pale, eyes swollen like she hadn't slept in weeks. "Hi," she whispered, clutching a crumpled piece of paper in her hands. "Can we talk?" I didn't answer. Didn't move. Because how do you speak to the ghost of the person who shattered you? She held the letter out like it weighed 1,000 pounds. "I wrote this months ago," she said, her voice already shaking. I didn't know how to face you." She looked small, not physically but emotionally, like someone hollowed out by regret. I let her inside. Not because I forgave her, but because I wanted to hear the words she'd been too afraid to say. She sat on the same couch where we'd once dreamed of starting a family. The couch that had been ours. And then she cried. Not the manipulative kind of crying meant to win sympathy. The kind of crying that's hard to watch. Raw, ugly, desperate. He didn't love me, she confessed between sobs. It was exciting at first, but it didn't last. And when it ended, I realized what I'd lost. I didn't say a word. 'Cause honestly, what could I even say? There isn't an apology in the world big enough to rebuild what betrayal burns to the ground. I don't expect you to take me back, she said, her voice cracking like thin glass. I just needed to say I'm sorry. I was selfish. I broke something real. And I regret it every single day. She looked up at me, eyes red, waiting for something. Anything. And for a brief moment, just a tiny second, I saw her. The woman I once loved. The woman who used to fall asleep on my chest after long shifts. The woman I thought I'd grow old with. But that second passed. Because I remembered. I didn't leave her because I stopped loving her. I left because she stopped loving me. So I stood up, looked her right in the eyes and said calmly, I spent a year putting myself back together. Learning how to trust again. Learning how to live without wondering if I was being lied to. You don't get to walk back in after the fire and expect the ashes to rebuild themselves. She nodded, tears streaming down her face. No argument. No begging. Just pain. Real pain. But it wasn't mine anymore. She left quietly, just like I had a year ago. No slammed door. No promises. Just silence. And when the door shut behind her, I didn't cry. I didn't smile. I just stood there. Solid. Steady. Because for the first time in a long time I felt something real. And no, I didn't take her back. Not because I hadn't loved her once. But because I finally loved myself more. If you've ever walked away from someone who betrayed you, and they came crawling back like nothing happened, you're not weak for missing them. But you are powerful for refusing to let them break you twice. Sometimes the strongest thing you'll ever do is close a door you know you'll never open again.